Good morning, maybe afternoon now. My name's Stu Mitchell. I'm the founder and CEO of Novuson. Novuson has created the next generation of advanced energy surgical devices. This is based on our direct therapeutic ultrasound technology, which was developed at the University of Washington with me and my colleagues in collaboration with several surgeons at the university. The space we're working in is what's called the electrosurgical device space. The main devices in that space currently are radio frequency device, which are electricity-based devices that are either bipolar or monopolar, or harmonic devices that use a mechanical blade that they vibrate at ultrasonic speeds. There are numerous surgical procedures that are performed that use devices such as this. In the US alone, there's 49 million that are projected this year. 89% of these procedures will use an electrosurgical device. If you expand that off to the global market, that's 410 million surgical procedures performed in 405 surgical suites. The global surgical device market is $50 billion, which is broken into 4 verticals: minimally, general, robotic, and endoscopic surgeries. The electrosurgical devices hold about 10% of that market at a TAM of $6.4 billion. The two main components of that figure are the disposable component, which the sales of are predicated on how many surgical procedures are performed, and the capital equipment or the generators, which the sales of are predicated on how many surgical suites are available to put those in. The problem really we are addressing are complications in surgical procedures. About a third of all surgeries have complications. Now, I'm not implying that these complications all are related to the surgical devices that are currently being used, but the devices do have problems. In particular, they have problems with smoke when they're being used, so they cloud the vision of the surgeons. The surgeons can't see what they're doing. They have to use smoke evacuators in order to clear the field. They burn tissue, they char tissue, they create excess thermal damage. The tips get real hot, hot, so they can have other problems. On the electricity-based devices, 1 out of every 200 uses of these devices result in what they call an adverse event, which can be stray current injuries, which end up in burns on the patients, or even OR fires. 16 million patients a year in the US have surgical complications. So that's about a $215 billion cost to the hospital systems every year. So I'm going to explain a little bit how the current technologies work so I can differentiate our technology a little bit clearer for you. So what I'm showing here are 2 devices, the RF devices on the top, the harmonic devices on the body. Those URLs are links to where you can go watch these videos. I'm not going to play them right now. So the RF device, it takes and runs electricity from the top jaw to the bottom jaw, and that effectively cauterizes the tissue. They use a mechanical blade to cut the tissue. This is a sealer divider. They're harmonic devices. The top blade vibrates at It's a mechanical blade. It vibrates at ultrasonic speeds, and it uses friction to cauterize and cut through the tissue. Both of these technologies have the same mechanism for cauterizing tissue. That is, they cauterize the tissue at the surface, so it increases the resistance at the surface, and then they have to cut through that increased resistive area in order to accomplish their goal of cauterizing all the way through the tissue. To do that, you have to put more energy into the tissue as you cauterize the tissue. This is why they burn and char vessels and why they have smoke and they have increased thermal spread. I'm going to play a video and walk you through it. It's an animation of how Novuson's technology works. So what we do is we put ultrasound transducers in the end effectors of surgical instruments. Our first products are laparoscopic devices. When you energize these transducers, you end up with a treatment that is more precise and faster than current technologies out there. As you can see, right in the center of the zone, you get an area of high intensity. This is what cauterizes the tissue. So we increase the resistance by cauterizing the tissue in the middle of it, and then that cauterized area causes the ultrasound waves to back propagate to the surfaces of the end effectors itself. So this is actually a more efficient way of doing cauterization of tissue, which ends up in less thermal damage, less thermal spread. We're electrically neutral. Our first product will be a 3mm sealer divider. It functions the same way as the animation that we just showed. We increase a region of high intensity midway between the transducers that cauterizes the tissue. Then we change our ultrasound mode, which effectively cuts the tissue. This enables us to do procedures faster without as much thermal damage. There's no smoke, there's no charring, there's no burning, and we are more versatile. This is our launch product. On the upper left, you have our control system and our laparoscopic device. And what I've highlighted is our end effector here. So we have the transducers in the end of this. The only thing that's on the proximal end of that transducer going back to our control console is actually two coaxes that are very flexible. This allows us to integrate with any type of surgical platform, which is why our DTU platform will be more disruptive to the market, or be disruptive to the surgical market. We did a study down at the Texas Institute for Preclinical Studies, that's at Texas A&M, where we had an independent surgeon do 5 animal studies. We did approximately 100 treatments. We compared our data to independent researchers' studies of the other devices on the market. And what we've shown is that our technology has significantly less thermal damage. It doesn't char the tissue. It doesn't burn the tissue. We are electrically neutral. And the two areas that the FDA is primarily concerned about, that being efficacy and the burst pressure of excised vessels, we are comparable to all the other technologies on the market. And we do it in a 3mm in diameter device, which is inherently less damage to start with, as opposed to the 5mm devices that are currently on the market. A little bit about Novuson. We started the company in 2014. We are currently working on our first commercially viable product. We have an exclusive worldwide license through the University of Washington for our patents, and we have additional patents that we filed independently at Novuson. We're projecting our first regulatory submission next quarter. And the important thing about these technologies with ours and other devices in this category is the cost for these things is actually rolled into the DRG for the procedures, so they don't require special insurance codes. These are a surgical tool. To dig in a little bit deeper, the first 4 lines here, the blue and the green, these are prototypes that we've developed at Novuson based on NIH grants. We received $3.25 million worth of grants. All of these devices have had bench studies done on them, animal studies on them, conducted by our key opinion leaders and independent surgeons. The first one, the 3mm mini LS, is the one that we're currently doing verification and validation on. Everything below the green line, these are devices that we look to do co-development agreements with strategics and license the technology to them. As I indicated, we have an exclusive license with the UW. We've got 4 patents for them, 2 of them on transducer technology, 1 on surgical methods, 1 on feedback algorithms. In addition to that, at Novuson, we've filed more patents on transducer technology, new technology, feedback algorithms, how we deliver the ultrasound to the tissue as well, and our artificial intelligence that actually controls how much energy we're delivering. We've had our pre-meeting with the FDA. They really like our technology. This is first innovation in this space in about 30 years. We're a 510(k), it's class 2 device. There's very clear guidance for electrosurgical devices. We've conducted a lot of bench studies and animal studies, and the main thing that we need to finish prior to our filing is the GLP study. We'll follow that up with the CE mark and then go into Asia. We have a very experienced management team. I've got 35 years in business myself, technology development 25 years. We have people who've marketed in the ultrasound space, and our chief medical officer graduated first in his class from the University of Washington. Our next equity round will be Q2, Q3 of this year, where we're looking to raise $10 million. That'll be used to launch our commercial products. Currently, we have a little bit of room left open on our convertible note, which we're looking to fill as well. This is a first-in-class novel technology that is far superior to anything else on the market. We have a clear regulatory path, a clear value proposition, and we've actually had strategic discussions which resulted in Hoya Corporation investing in Novuson. Thank you, and I'll be in the breakout session if you have any questions.